Hello, everyone. Mackey's here, and welcome to this very short series that's going to be happening throughout June and July, but it's going to be very important for all of you League of Legends fans. This is the most important time of the year, minus Worlds, of course. But in it, this tournament is special. Now, First Stand was a cool tournament and all, but it's never, ever going to compare to the absolute behemoth known as the Mid Season Invitational, the MSI. This year's MSI is going to take place in Vancouver at the Pacific Coliseum, and it's going to run from June 27th to July 12th. At the time of me recording this, or probably you might see this in a couple of days, we are officially 1 month from the mid-season invitational. So, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, strap yourselves in, get your seat belts on, get your hands on the wheel, 9 to 3 on the steering wheel. We are driving all the way to the British Columbian Highway, home of the Whitecaps and the BC Palace, of course, and Grey Cup football. If you love your Canadian football, we are on the road to MSI. Let's hit it. Now, we need to get through all the details about MSI. Let me just go through down here. So, the MSI format is pretty much the same format as in the last 2 years. Top two teams from each region would participate in the MSI. The first seed of each region and the second seed of the LCK, by virtue of winning first stand, in that case, Hunter Life Esports, will get a bye into the bracket stage, while the other four teams will start at the play-in. The play-in will be playing in a GSL format. For those who don't know GSL, that is the Korean StarCraft League, and their format is kind of unique, but it's simply put, 2 wins, you're in, 2 wins, you're out. Pretty much simple. 2-0 teams and 2-1 teams will qualify for the bracket, the top two teams, and all the matches will be best of 5, but not just any best of 5. As you all know, this best of 5 will be using Fearless, which, by the way, get a lot of popular demand by so many of the community that Riot Games decided to put Fearless in every single match and every single tournament from first stand onwards through the rest of the season. You can make a debate about for Fearless draft all you want, but for me, uniqueness is great. Diversity is kind of great. So if they wanted to use diversity in a tournament like this, I'm fine with that. The point is, Fearless Draft is here to stay, and right now it is the most important element of the League of Legends tournament we're using. So all the Magic League best of 5 and using Fearless Draft. Now, the bracket stage will be an 8-team double elimination bracket stage with all matches being best of 5, in Fearless Draft. Sort of like IPL 5 and the last two MSI tournaments, which I said we might get to go into some history of the MSIs in probably the later couple of versions. But I said this is the best format for a tournament. 8 teams, double elimination. We figure out the best of the best. No group stage monologue, no rumbo jumbo in the Swiss stages. Best versus best of 5, all the way through. And to do it in one stadium, that is brilliant. The winner of the MSI will qualify for Worlds, and the second place region gets a 4th seed for domestic league at Worlds. So basically, LCK and LPL will get seconds. I'm kidding, but they may have the benefit of those two. So, Hakeem, we got some headlines to show you. We got a lot of stuff we need to get through between now and June 27th, of course. And the first team that qualified for MSI. It's a surprise to pretty much basically no one. G2 Esports. Now, you notice that G2 are in the playing stage and in the bracket stage. That's because the winner of the LEC Spring will be automatically qualified as the bracket stage team, and the loser of that team will go into the playing team, which means we don't know what G2's position will be yet as of the time of recording. That finals will take place next week, Sunday, actually not this Sunday, but June 8th, Sunday will be the LEC Spring Finals. But G2 did qualify for the LEC Spring Finals and does lock in the very first of the 10 spots at MSI by beating the absolute crap out of Koi Esports. Now, I myself did a TikTok telling everyone to not panic on G2, even though they have lost a couple of matches, even though they have not played their best with this lineup, even though the Fnatic and K Corp are probably the best teams ever, even though they have been 5-4 and look average, when G2 esports are in playoff mode, regular season G2 can be up and down sometimes. But give G2 esports playoff opportunities with a good coach, some veteran players of Broken Blake and Caps, and Dylan Falco being a coach, strategizing and all that stuff, G2 are different in the playoffs. G2 in the regular season, not so great. G2 in the playoffs, oh boy. Whew. 3-1 versus Fnatic after dropping their first game, and then 3-1 against Koi. And that game 4 was magnifique. Brutality on the Koi part. Kaz was awarded MVP. I think the first game, Hans Sama was MVP, of course. It's the veteran team, the two veterans on the squad, showcasing the veterancy, showcasing why they're the best team in Europe, despite the fact, Common Corp won the spring split. G2 has once again showcased that they're still the final boss. They're still the most dominant team. Well, not dominant, but the most consistent team in the LEC for the last couple of seasons. And that showcased why. Their movement around the map was brilliant in today's game against Koi. The way they move around the map, the way they take objectives, it's like they are going around in circles, Koi. Especially the first two games. It was fantastically brilliant. Game 2 was kind of like, G2 winning the game and then Koi kind of hang on for the victory, of course. But the first two games are kind of like G2 dominant. Credit to Koi and Yike. No, not Yike. Not Yike. Jojo Pian and his brilliant Yone play with the super, but game 4 was an absolute stump. 30 minutes in this patch, in this year's set, feels like a fast game. Now you look at it 30 minutes and saying, this game is not fast. In today's meta and today's patch, it's kind of fast. Hansam with the first 2 kills on Draven, his signature Draven. Kaz with the movement on the map with Tristana. And the game just feels so congested for Koi. It feels like, Miss Fortune cannot do nothing. Cassante, as powerful he is, cannot do nothing. Victor cannot do nothing. Koi doesn't have anything on their lineup. It was a thorough victory for G2 in a thorough series for them. Now, after losing game 1 to Fnatic, I was kind of worried, but they absolutely show up in that series. Cass was the MVP. They didn't show much in game 4, but it was a dominant G2 display. And G2 only dropped 2 games. All of these playoffs are now into another best of 5 finals. Now it's like, 5 finals in a row they have made it? 5 finals. I think the last time they missed finals was when Mad Lions back in last year's spring. That was the last time G2 has ever missed a grand final. They have made it to grand finals in every year in last year, and now every year, every one this year. But now the one thing that is remaining is G2 winning an LEC title. We know that every time G2 lost an LEC finals, they always bounce back and win it. I said in my TikTok just this evening, they still have to get the job done. And I think they might do that. If you notice a Koi have another shot of winning an opportunity to go to MSI, all they have to do is to win the June 7th match, which is going to be the Saturday before the grand final, against the survivor of the 4 teams remaining: Carmen Corp, Fnatic, Giant X, and Heretics. Now, I believe Carmen Corp should beat Team Heretics. I think hindsight, Carmen Corp and Fnatic should beat Giant X, Heretics, and then we got Carmen Corp versus Fnatic facing each other in a real tussle. And if you're a Fnatic, I mean, best team by a mile, and you still cannot beat G2 in a game that matters most. Once again, another opportunity for Fnatic to actually win something, to do something big, and they just still cannot do it. Just still cannot do it. I believe they're cursed. I believe they are cursed. They're probably the most cursed organization probably in League of Legends history. Like, they can't even win a game that matters. They can't even win a series that matters. Not even against a really average G2 team. Like, come on, man. That's just not right. That's not right at all. Now, I think, it was you can say it was a back and forth series. It's a really back and forth series between them and Carmen Corp. Super was the MVP, of course, but it was back and forth, and it came down to, like, final couple of fights. So it almost feels like, Koi, if you're Carmen Corp, you're fine. I think you can take care of Team Heretics. And I believe you're slightly favored against Fnatic, although you can say that it's a 55-45 matchup if Carmen Corp and Fnatic get it right. So I believe we're gonna get a Carmen Corp Fnatic match. And then we'll see whoever wins between Carmen Corp and Fnatic, and then that matchup will face off against Koi, and then the winner will face off against G2. Now, despite the fact that G2 look impressive, can they handle... they don't have to worry about big stage or anything. They're playing in the studio, but can they do what they do in the Fnatic series, and can they do what they do in the Koi series and implement that to the finals? Just because they have, like, the aura of, like, the most dominant team in LEC, although their dominance have been gone for that point. Just because they have the aura of dominance and feeling like they can just roll over doesn't mean that anybody can beat them. I believe if the second time come around, Koi can beat them. And maybe Carmen Corp and Fnatic can come around and beat them as well. So as I said in my TikTok, the job is not done. But I believe that G2 can and probably will win the LEC spring and lock themselves up for a shot of MSI in the bracket. Which they did well in MSI last year, finishing 4th. Maybe could have been finishing 3rd. Losing to a weakening T1 did not help. They should at least finish 3rd last year. And because of how strong, BLG and Gen.G were, 3rd place would have been fine. They didn't. And with this different lineup that they have, I think they might struggle a little bit. We'll find out in the rankings, of course, but G2 are here. They're here. They qualify for MSI. If you're an LEC fan, this is the most kind of optimistic, because G2 have... the first stand doesn't matter that much. Let's be honest, first stand doesn't matter that much. That's why I told you MSI is the big tournament, the really big tournament. So I don't think, first stand means anything much. But we're going to find out what this G2 team with Skumon in the lineup and Labrov are what they're going to make off against bigger competition. They can dominate themselves in the LEC, but can they do it against the minors of some of the LCK and LPL teams? That's going to be the real test for Skumon and Labrov, because if they do well, great. But if they don't, they're gonna get a lot of scrutiny, especially for the fans of G2. So Skumon and Labrov have to show up in international events. They have to show up. They have to show up in an international event at some point. So G2 are the first team from worldwide to qualify for MSI via the LEC bracket and via the upper bracket final when they beat Koi. The LCK is really competitive right now. Really competitive. So, in case you haven't noticed, we're in the double round robin format of the LCK portion of the tournament. Now we already have the LCK Cup. That's for the first end. That doesn't matter. Hunter Life Esports just break everybody's kneecaps, of course, in that tournament. Don't care. Now we're into the second. Now we're in the second period of 3 in the LCK. Now, unfortunately, sadly, there is no spring split, which sucks. And of course, the championship is the be and all end all at the end of the year, which I can understand from circuit purposes, but I prefer like an MSI a trophy at the end. But then again, who do I bother? So the winner, the top two teams qualify for MSI and the EWC, which is the Esports World Cup, which is taking place in Saudi Arabia. But I'm not going to talk about it because I might get into trouble. So I'm going to tell my head, telling myself, don't talk about it, don't talk about it. I know you want to talk about it, but don't do it. That's for other people's worry. And just leave it at that. Just leave it at that. If T1 if T1 finishes in the top 2, the third place team will qualify for the EWC. Top 2 will qualify for MSI. Top 3, if T1 finishes top 2, qualifies for EWC. So here we are in the second part of the tournament. And if you look, this is the bracket, of course. Gen.G, runaway leaders, undefeated runaway leaders. Drop a couple of games here or there, but runaway as the dominant team in all of LCK. I mean, coming back from a pretty abnormal LCK Cup tournament. And as I said, Hana Life was the most dominant tournament in the most dominant team in all of the LCK Cup and the first 10. So no surprise there. But Gen.G is coming back in spades, and Gen.G looks absolutely brilliant. As you know, Holland Life Esports has been pretty much shaky in some of the games and actually losing some of the matches, especially to KT roster and D plus. Ugh, disgusting. Anyways, Gen.G is a win in the second split, the second top split winner, and that matchup, that best of 5 matchup, and Fearless, of course, were qualified for the mid-season invitation. And then the loser of this matchup will still qualify, but they have to wait the absolute LCK as gauntlet of a format. Now, in case you haven't noticed, this is the same gauntlet that the LCK used way back when, a couple of years ago, before they implement the double round robin, the double elimination bracket that we've seen today, but double elimination into a gauntlet. Pretty much old school mixing with new school. And if you notice, 5th and 6th will be placed in this bracket, and then the winner will face off against the 4th place team, which means the winner will take up place of the 3rd place team. The winner will face against the losers of round 3 matchup, and then the winner will qualify for MSI. Cool. Simple, straightforward, nothing complicated here. So let's look at the table, as you can see. And I think the table will be really important. So, this is the double round robin format, of course. Top 6 will go through, and of course, the other teams will remain in the Rise group. There's 2 different groups. The top five will represent the Legends group, and the bottom 5 will represent the Rise group for the next rounds of matches that will determine world qualification. But we're talking about MSI here. We're talking about MSI. And if you look at the table right now, Gen.G qualifies 16-0. And then T1 and Honda Life Esports are neck and neck. Now we are coming now at the time of record. Now on Wednesday or tomorrow, if you are watching this in the morning or such, we're gonna have the final round of double round matches. And if you look down below, just look way down below, 5 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, T1 versus Honda Life Esports. This game is so important for them. Of course, T1 and Honda Life will have their last two matches, but this game is probably the most important game of the season for both teams. T1 versus Honda Life. If Honda Life wins, that pretty much secures the top two. They'll have 13 wins. T1 will have 11. They can't catch up with them. And the series score will be like pretty much astronomical depending on the score line. But if T1 wins, that might put a little bit of pressure on Honda Life. I mean, a little bit because of the score line. It's plus 16 to plus 12. Oh, wait. But if T1 were to beat them 2-0, maybe it might not happen, but maybe it might be a tie. That will be interesting coming to the last couple of games. So, without a doubt, this is probably the most important match of the entire LCK season. The winner will meet Gen.G, and the winner of that matchup will determine our second team in MSI. And the third place team will have to await the gauntlet of, Nashim, Red Forest, KT, Rawls, and D+, who all of them are kind of like average to below average. Nashim Red Forest are a sneaky team. 9-7 record, not great, but they are a really sneaky team. I believe this is probably their first time being in like a playoff setting. If you learn their history, of course, they were Team Dynamics way back when in the LCK, and then changed their name to Nashim Red Forest. So I think they have not qualified for like a playoff setting in any kind. So this might be the first time for some of these players. So I think Nashim Red Forest are a really scary team and should be really keen to keep an eye on. Maybe they might upset some few teams. Maybe they might upset T1 or Honda Life Esports if they caught them in a bad day, of course, or on a bad patch, or on a patch that's favorable to them. So Honda Life versus T1 is a really interesting matchup. T1 has recovered so well from after all the debacle with the smash of Gumi Yushi setting. They just laser focus, win some games, and they have never looked back. And now they have an important matchup against Honda Life Esports, who are looking shaky as hell. They have lost to KT roster, they have lost to D+, they have lost to Gen.G, which is no surprise. Gen.G have been the most dominant team. But they have not looking great in some games. They kind of played their food in most of the times. And while T1 has not been great either, you can say that T1 are looking like kind of the momentum, kind of the mojo back. And we all know in the last couple of years, T1 are the most dangerous team when they get their mojo back. When it comes to crunch time, clutchness, nobody can do that like Faker and those boys. Minus, of course, Zeus, of course. But nobody can clutch it up and be successful in crunch time situations than T1. That's going to be important. And speaking of Zeus, they're facing their old boy Zeus in Honda Life Esports, so that'll be interesting to see if Duran can hold up against the mightiness of Zeus in that top lane matchup. That's going to be a really interesting matchup. Zaka versus Faker, that'll be also interesting. So it's going to be a really interesting match. It's going to be probably the biggest match of the LCK this season. And it's going to be a really interesting one. So that's the table, of course. Ignore the bottom five. They all suck really bad. But Winner is going to be the top two facing Gen.G. Loser out to face the gauntlet. And then, of course, you got Nashib, KT, D plus fighting for like positions to avoid the first match gauntlet, which means that you lose one match. That's it. You're done for next split. So it's gonna be so the position is gonna be really important. It's gonna be a different. It could be a difference between like, oh, you know, having some rest, having some, you know, strategy going through it and all kind of stuff versus like, you know, play your first game and if you lose, you're out. Although you may get a hot hand, you may have some momentum. You never know when League of Legends. You may win first series and then second series, and you may call some hot hand. You never know. You just never know in these kind of moments. So that's the LCK right now. Gen.G above the rest. Are they going to go undefeated? Let me know in the comments. Are they going to go undefeated in the last two matches? Let me just look at Gen.G's schedule real quick. They got KT roster and bro. I mean, it may go undefeated. They may go undefeated. I think they can, but KT roster already beaten Hunter Live Esports, so they might cause some problems. And bro can ruffle some feathers. So, anyways, let me know in the comments. Please like and subscribe for this channel for more content around MSI, League of Legends stuff. Follow my TikTok. Follow my TikTok if you have to. I post some stuff in there about League of Legends and other things. So, anyways, I'm on my socials. You know the drill. And I'm going to take a second to take a sip of water and then talk about our next region, which is the LPL. One second. Okay, let's move forward with the LPL. Now, in case you haven't noticed, the LPL Split 2 is a way different concept than we have in Split 1. So, in case you haven't noticed, this is the groups. You're looking at the group stages of the format. These are not important. They were placed in the group. Then, of course, they'll have a double round robin. And then top two will qualify for the group ascend, and then L, the third place teams will play in the ascend qualifier. The last two teams, which is Fun Plus Team WWE, qualifies for the ascend, and then the losers, LGD Ultra Prime, included and OMG, LNG, Team Edward Gaming and RNG, are placed into the Nevada group. And now, the most important part. Top four teams qualified for the playoffs. And that will be important later on. The rest of the teams will be qualifying for the Rumble stage. We'll get to the Rumble stage later. The top two teams in Nevada will also qualify for the Rumble stage. And then you got the other two teams, and then you got LNG and Ultra Prime group Nevada, and you got RNG and OMG eliminated. And not just eliminated from Split 2, ladies and gentlemen. Oh no, big 07s to those two teams because they are done for the year. For the year. My God, that's brutal, but it's the way the cookie crumbles. So there it is. That's the Legends, of course. And of course, we got the ninth stage of court, and we got the ninth stage. Oh, right. The night rivals. All these teams except these two are qualified for Split 3. In fact, Ultra Prime and LNG will be playing in Split 3. These two teams and the rest below the top four of the group ascend qualifies for the night rivals, which we see right here. IG defeat Edward Gaming 3-0. Clean as a whistle. Rookie was insane. TWE versus LNG. TWE won. Monkey was also pretty good. TWE was a huge win. And then Just uh, just today, this morning, FPX defeated Doinby, who was once upon a time an FPX player who got into a championship years ago. FPX beat Ninjas in Pajamas. Marvelous. Absolutely marvelous. It was 3-2. It was a really back and forth series. It was a really tense series, of course. And now we have one more series left. Now, in a couple of hours from now, Weibo Gaming will take on against Thundertalk. The winner will qualify for the knockout stage. The loser will play in split 3. Now, if I'm gonna make a prediction, I'm gonna say Thundertalk Gaming will win. Weibo has been kind of weird. Although, let me scratch that. I think Weibo Gaming will win. I think Weibo Gaming 3-1 over Thundertalk Gaming. And if I'm wrong, I'll probably some people will clip this and put it on TikTok and make it funny and be like da 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 da, curb your enthusiasm kind of thing. So I may be right or I may be wrong. Who knows? But Weibo versus Thunder Talk, the winner of that will join Invictus, Team WWE, and Funplex Phoenix into the knockout stage. Now the knockout stage, the top 4 teams, Top Esports, Billy Billy Gaming, Anyone's Legends, and JD Gaming will be picked. So Top Esports will pick their first opponent, then Anyone's Legends will pick next, and then JDG will pick next, and then BLG will get the scrap. And then this is double elimination bracket. It's the same double elimination bracket as all the double elimination brackets in the LPL before. Winners will get to this. Loser will be playing in these kind of brackets, and then the losers will bracket 1, and then the upper bracket goes here, and then the top 2 teams in the LPL qualified for MSI and EWC, of course. So who are the favorites to go MSI? I believe, sadly, and I said sadly, it's got to be Top Esports. I know it doesn't make sense. Top Esports still good in LPL, but suck in international tournaments. It's weird. It's so weird sometimes. BLG, ever since they got Bejuan, has been a brilliant force. They have returned to like the BLG that has been looking great all of last season. And it could be my second favorite to this. JDG are my third favorites. And then actually JDG are my fourth favorites. Anyone's Legend is my third favorites. So in terms of like order of like who will win, I have Top Esports 1, BLG 2nd, Anyone's Legend 3rd, and then JDG 4th. If Anyone's Legend can surprise me and actually go to Worlds, that'd be incredible. But can anybody beat Top Esports in the LPL right now? That's gonna be a question. And we hope that Top Esports can at least go back to international performance and show me something in international performance, because I did make a video about them being the doormat of international tournaments and doormats of like so many other teams, walking past them, scraping their feet off crap, and just walk past in, getting their hands on a champagne and drinking the beauty of victory while they're just full of crap. So Top Esports are going like a favorites, and they should be, and they should beat these teams. But BLG are looking hot right now. Anyone's Legends are looking decent. So this LPL fight is going to be really interesting between these top 4 teams, and the teams from the Knights rivals could get hot as well. You never know what Funplex Phoenix are going to be like. You never know what Invictus Gaming will be like. So they might run into a hot team, and what if the team selected could come up and upset them? So the LPL could be really, really interesting right now. As we said, we only have one match remaining in a couple of hours, and then we'll get the knockout stage started this Saturday with 2 best of 5 matches, one at 1 a.m. and one at 4 a.m. And then Sunday, the 1st of June, we'll have the other 2 matches. And then we go from here. Top 2 get MSI, just like the LCK. All right, it is time, Akeem, to talk about the punching bag known as the LTA. And friend of the channel, David Soundcheck, was really mad about the way Riot treats the LTA. And you know what? I have sympathy for you, and you have every right to be mad. In fact, I'm mad right now with the whole thing. And let's look at the LTA North for a bit. I'll touch this out, guys. Don't worry, guys. The LTA South will get some decent love from me. Trust me. But the LTA South, Lioness guys are gone, which is no surprise to everybody. In fact, this guy decided to replace Abadage, which is okay, great, but it doesn't change the status quo. Top 2 teams qualify for EWC, but notice one thing: the winner gets MSI. Winner of LTA North gets MSI, which is But Akeem, how come there's like 2 spots there? Oh wait, the LTA South will also get the second spot. So LTA North and LTA South winners will get the 2 spots for MSI. And oh my goodness, consider how badly Brazil have been for the last couple of years. People will be like, oh, the LTA is probably the worst region ever, even though this team is completely different. It's gonna be like they're wearing the stinking brand. It's like no matter who comes from the LTA South wins, they're always gonna be wearing the worst region in the history of league, and they're gonna get clapped by some other team. But okay, again, this is the road to MSI, not the road to damnation. But still, it's just winner gets MSI out of these teams. Like, come on, man. Now, FlyQuest and Cloud9 both absolutely stumped the living hell of Team Liquid. Although FlyQuest series against Shopify Rebellion was kind of interesting because this is the longest ever sweep in the history of pretty much League of Legends. 30-minute stomp, that's a 51-minute win and almost a 48-minute win. Shopify Rebellion was kind of getting interesting over FlyQuest, of course, in some of those 2 games, although they didn't close it out. And then Team Liquid versus Cloud9, they lost their sponsorship because of some nincompoop from Brazil telling all the Japanese players, "We're going to nuke you." Oh, sorry, I should not say the word nuke in a YouTube subject. Sorry, my bad. And goodbye sponsorship. Just like Gary Lineker just lost 25 years of his Match of the Day hostess because of tweeting out anti-Semitic stuff. Like I said, man, be careful what you do in social media because one bad post or one bad tweet can cost you everything these days. Careful these days. Careful. So they not only lose their sponsorship, but also the spawn buff as well. Because everybody knows that if Team Liquid gets spawn back, they're going to be cool. But not this case. Cloud9 whipped them. Cloud9 absolutely whipped them. Up and down the floor. My goodness. Not even the return of Umti can help them. Not even Umti's return can help them. Not looking good, man. Not looking good. Now, the good news is Team Liquid could beat Dignitas and Shopify Rebellion can at least put us some fight against 100 Thieves. I think 100 Thieves can. I think this is probably the most interesting matchup of the second week. I think Team Liquid can easily beat Dignitas if they can. But this Shopify 100 Thieves matchup is a really good coin toss. Because we know what 100 Thieves are capable of. And the last time these 2 teams met, they beat 100 Thieves lost to Shopify Rebellion, which cost them a place in the seeding. And now they have to win every single match. They did beat this guy's toast cleanly, but that was this guy's toast. Now you're going to feed a really iffy Shopify Rebellion team who can capable of beating some of the good teams. Although they lost to Team Liquid and got beat by FlyQuest. And the last 2 games of that series kind of makes you feel like, okay, Shopify can do something here. They can do something. They can do something in this series. So 100Ds are good, and maybe the favorites 55-45 in my count, but if this Shopify Rebellion can get together and actually do something here, especially in that bot matchup, I think 100Ds could be in a world of hurt. I think 100Ds could be an absolute world of hurt here. And then FlyQuest versus Cloud9. In any other year, that matchup will determine MSI. But because of Riot, of course, they decided the winner goes to the grand finals, and the winner of grand finals will go to MSI. Kill me, please. This should be a 50-50 matchup. Although FlyQuest are mostly the favorite to win this matchup, Cloud9 smacking 100 Team Liquid could just change the status quo just a little bit. I think Cloud9 can do something about FlyQuest. I think FlyQuest could beat them easily, or Cloud9 could make this a 5-game series and beat them. I don't know, but that'll be interesting, of course. Let's check to our friends in the South just a little bit. Let's check to our friends in the South. The LTA South. Winner gets to go to MSI again, and then EWC. Fluxio and Leviathan is gone. And now you are left with Pain Gaming, who, of course, were one of the best teams in the CBLOL last year. Of course, the LTA first season does not count. I'm sorry, the LTA split one does not count. As much as you wanted to pay the picture, it does not count. Does not count. And then Furia beat Keenstars 3-0, which stepped up. Isurus will take on Loud Gaming. Oha Namani has fallen Loud. It's my god, they have fallen down. I mean, they have not looking great. 4-3 in their initial group stage, and then 2-all lost to Kian Stars, and now they have to face Isurus. I mean, you should be Isurus, but my goodness, how you're falling that bad. That matchup will also take place on Saturday, along with Red Cannons and Kian Stars. Now, I haven't watched any LTA South, but I don't know who the favorites. So I'm gonna go blindfold here. Give me Pain Gaming. I guess they have qualified for an international tournament last year. Was it last year or the year before? I don't know. It's been a long time. It's been a long time. But remember, guys, the winner gets to represent the LTA, so you have to wear the stench along with your northern brethren, I guess. And finally, quickly to the LCP. As we wrap up the first episode of the Road to MSI, please like and subscribe, all the kind of stuff. If you want more content, maybe next week or such, I don't know. Scheduling is not as great. But the LCP, the Pacific Championship, the top two will get to qualify for MSI. Huh. Interesting. The LTA gets one apiece, and the LCP, a region that is less prestige than the LTA, gets 2 spots. I wonder why. DFM and Chiefs are gone. So now it's time. Now it's up to the top 2, top 6, mind you. Talon, Gam, CTBC, Flying Oysters, Secret Whales, and SoftBanks Vikings. Of course, selection will not take place. The playoffs are not until next week. Yeah, next week, June the 30th, which is this Friday. And then Saturday will be the upper bracket matchup. It will be the round 2 matchups. CTBC Flying Oyster undefeated 7-0 in their brackets, dropped 2 games so far. Remember, kids, this is a team that actually qualified for first stand and actually look impressive. Talk all you want about a Mickey Mouse tournament, but CTB Flying Oyster was the most impressive team on all the teams in the first stand. And if they were to qualify for MSI as the best team, one of the best teams in the LCP, I mean, I'll tell you what, watch out LTA North. You're going to get a clap by the Flying Oysters that I can. So they could be an interesting team to watch. This maybe Secret Whales might pull an upset, maybe Talon or Gam, but right now CTBC Flying Oysters are on a different planet. They look great in first stand. They look great in the split right now, and it could be great going to playoffs. Who knows? But they might be my dark horse for MSI again. And that should do it, ladies and gentlemen. Before Um, yeah. So, in case you haven't noticed, G2 are the first team qualified for MSI. We got. We are a long way away. We are long ways away to determine the rest of the teams qualified for the midseason invitational, which will take place right now, a month from now. 1 month from now. G2 qualifies for MSI. They're the first of 10 teams going. The rest of them will sort themselves out piece by piece in the next couple of weeks. So please subscribe for this channel for more content, and I will talk to you later on, probably next week, to talk about the Road to MSI Part 2, when we talk about all these other stuff, plus some historical context, and talk about the very first MSI that took place in Florida with probably the most incredible upset ever to grace League of Legends. We all know what it is, but some historical context coming up in the next couple of days, probably next week. So thank you all for listening to this first episode of Road to MSI. We will see you all later. And my outro is not fun for me, yeah. So I will just say, wave goodbye, see you later, and see you next week. Bye bye.